Easter, a snail's journey through despair. There are days when all you see in the world is disappointment, broken systems, indifferent people, stories that make you wonder, does kindness still have a place? And then, amid that noise, someone quietly bends down to move a tiny snail off the sidewalk. No one sees it. No one claps. There's no reward. They just didn't want it to be crushed. And sometimes, it's in those small, invisible acts that our faith is quietly restored, in people, in ourselves, in the simple, powerful choice to be gentle to the end. In today's video, you won't just hear a story. You'll feel something we all tend to forget, that you can still do the right thing, even if the world looks away. If you're searching for something warmer, something more meaningful in the noise of everyday life, tap subscribe and like now to join this journey of rediscovering what it means to be truly human, in the smallest of moments. Part 1. The Snail and a Quiet Hand. On a rain-damp brick path, early in the morning, he came across a small, fragile creature trying to cross. A snail, soft and silent, unnoticed by anyone. It crawled slowly, each movement like a tiny miracle, inching forward between countless footprints, wheels, and the looming danger of people too rushed to look down. He stopped. Not for any grand reason, but because that small gaze made him feel that if he kept walking without doing anything, that creature might not survive the next minute. So, with a gentle motion, like one might use to hold a memory, he bent down, lifted the snail from the pavement, and placed it on the soft grass by the roadside, where it could continue its journey, safe, quiet, and alive. But what lingered in his mind wasn't the act itself. It was the snail's reaction. The moment his fingers touched it, the snail recoiled, retreating into its tiny shell like a fortress. It thought danger was coming. It didn't know some hands reach not to harm, but to save. And it had no way of knowing, because in its world, every touch meant threat. But he didn't blame it. The snail was only doing what instinct had taught it. It couldn't understand kindness. But that didn't mean kindness shouldn't exist. Because sometimes kindness doesn't need to be understood. It doesn't need to be returned. It only needs to be done. By those who still believe in doing what's right, even when no one sees, no one praises, and no one ever knows. Part 2. Instinctive reactions and the boundaries of nature. When the snail pulled itself into its shell, it was simply doing the only thing its instinct allowed. Defend. No thought. No choice. No way to distinguish between real danger and a hand trying to save it. To the snail, every touch meant a threat. And in the natural world, that reaction isn't wrong. It's what survival depends on. Nature, no matter how beautiful, is still a closed loop of instinct, where every creature learns to fight or flee. Its harshness doesn't always show in what we see, but in the cold, unwavering rule. The weak are consumed, the strong survive. Animals in the wild often birth dozens, even hundreds of offspring, not out of hope for a large family, but because they know most will never make it. The survival rate of baby turtles, for example, can be as low as 1 in 1,000. Many don't even get the chance to understand the world before becoming food for something else. And for most species, that's simply natural. As he reflected on the snail's reaction, the man realized something. In that world, there's no room for trust, and certainly no concept of kindness. Nature permits action, not conscience. There is no moral way in between right and wrong, no helping hand, no compassion. Everything moves according to instinct, fast, cold, and unforgiving. And that's exactly why, when a human chooses to stop and do something kind, it becomes a rare exception in this world, a precious anomaly, and one far too easy to forget. Part 3. The one thing that makes us human. What truly sets humans apart isn't intelligence, technology, or power. The one thing that genuinely separates us from a world ruled by instinct is our ability to choose kindness, even when nothing in our biology demands it. No animal saves a weaker creature unless there's something in it for them. No wild beast risks itself to protect anything outside its survival. But humans can. We can help a stranger. We can step in to defend the vulnerable. We can forgive. We can sacrifice. And sometimes, we can simply stop, bend down, and move a tiny snail off a busy path, for no other reason than a quiet feeling that says, it doesn't deserve to die like that. Kindness, at its deepest level, is a form of self-overcoming. Because it defies the economy of instinct, it ignores the question, what do I get from this? And when you choose to do the right thing, when no one sees it, no one thanks you, no one even knows, you're living by a kind of light that doesn't make you stand out, but makes you gentle. And it's because of this capacity that a human being can notice the fragility of a tiny creature and pause in the middle of a hurried life, not because someone told them to, but because their heart is still tender enough to feel. Some things are worth protecting, even if no one is watching. Part 4. In a chaotic world, does kindness still exist? We're living in a world that feels increasingly upside down. The news is filled with stories that disappoint us. Healthcare systems seem to be losing their humanity. Those once called doctors or leaders have become symbols of self-interest and indifference. We see injustice protected, wrongdoing justified, and people who act with integrity dismissed as naive or weak. So it's no surprise that many are tired, even doubtful, wondering if kindness still truly exists. But maybe the problem isn't that kindness has vanished. Maybe it's that kindness doesn't raise its voice. It doesn't take the spotlight. It isn't as loud as outrage or as visible as anger. Kindness is often quiet, found in a small kitchen, in the hands that reach out to someone who's fallen, in the stranger's smile offered for no reason at all. And because it's so quiet, we forget it's still here. We forget that somewhere, someone is still moving snails off life's path, not for praise, not for reward, but because they simply can't bear to look away. The world may be chaotic, but if even one person still feels that silent tug in their chest, the discomfort of witnessing injustice, then kindness hasn't left us. It just chooses not to speak. It chooses to act. Part 5. Hope doesn't die. As long as you still want to do what's right. When you look around and see wrongdoing happening every day. When kindness is mocked as naive and selfishness is praised as strength, the easiest thing to do is to stay quiet. You start telling yourself, who even cares? Doing the right thing doesn't matter. No one notices, nothing changes. But in that very moment, the moment you still ask yourself that question, it means hope is still alive in you. Because if you were truly numb, you wouldn't ask. You wouldn't feel that ache in your chest when you witness something unfair. You wouldn't lie awake over a small action you couldn't take in time. And it's those quiet, weary feelings that prove you haven't lost the most beautiful part of being human. The ability to choose what's right, even when no one else around you does. Hope, in its truest form, is not blind faith that everything will be okay. It's choosing to do what's right, even when no one claps, even when the world doesn't change overnight. Hope doesn't come from the outside. It stays alive because people like you keep choosing to act, to rescue something small, to be kind even when no one sees, to keep a heart soft enough not to harden with the rest of the world. So if today you feel alone on this path of quiet kindness, please know this: you are not alone. There are others, many others, still protecting that flame. And as long as even one person continues, the light has not gone out. Conclusion: as long as one person doesn't give up, there's still hope. You may not be able to save the world, and maybe the things you do won't instantly make this society more kind or just. But that doesn't make your actions meaningless. Because in a world where so many have chosen to look away, the simple act of stopping, kneeling, and helping a fragile life out of danger, it is already something extraordinary. Humans weren't born to be perfect, but we were given something rare: the ability to choose kindness, even when no one demands it, even when no one rewards it. And when you live by that kind of light, a light that doesn't need recognition, you leave something truly beautiful in this world. Not fame, not achievement, but a quiet warmth that someone somewhere will feel because of something small you once did. They may never know your name, but they will begin to believe in people because of you. This world will always have injustice. There will always be broken systems, selfish leaders, and coldness in places where compassion should live. But that's exactly why those who still choose to live with kindness become all the more precious. Because they don't just do what's right. They remind the rest of the world that kindness, if protected and passed on, can heal far more than we imagine. So if all you can do today is one small good thing, do it. You never know what it might awaken in someone else's heart. And no one knows. You might be the very reason someone decides not to give up. If any part of this video felt like it was speaking to you, please share it with someone you believe is walking this quiet path too. And don't forget to hit subscribe so we can keep walking this journey together, keeping the light alive in a world that sometimes feels covered in shadow.